football fools. The long-awaited football drought is over, and we are back with another rousing rendition of the fantasy season. Jacob, how's it feel to be back?
Oh man, I cannot wait for Thursday night. It's good. It's good to be back. This is gonna be an exciting season.
I think it is. I'm excited for it to get underway, and I guess without further ado, we'll get right into this draft recap. And let's start breaking down some of these teams and talk about what we think here.
Yeah, so let's start with Chewie's division. So we're going to go first with, if you ain't first, you're last, which I think is Jonathan Peppers. Yeah, it is Johnny. The matchup is Johnny versus Ryan. We're really just going to probably just go through each roster for a little bit and talk about maybe who we like, who we don't like. So what do you think about this team Johnny put together?
I think Johnny had a pretty solid draft here. He's got a solid piece at QB, obviously, and I think he's got a pretty good running back core. David Montgomery, he's kind of always predicted to do pretty well. People don't think he's gonna, but then he does anyway. So I think that's a pretty good RB2 if the offensive line can get their shit together. I like Debo this year. I think Marquise Brown's good. Dawson Knox, I think he drafted him in round 3, which was pretty crazy. I don't know why he felt the need to reach for him, but Johnny must see a big year coming out of that guy. Devontae Smith in the flex. I think it's a pretty good team, but I'm not super scared of it week 1. I'm not. What do you think of this team?
Yeah, I like Marquise Brown, at least for the first 6 weeks. I don't know. Let's see when he got him. I think that's a good value pick just because when Hopkins is not there, someone's going to have to catch passes. So you got him in the 5th round. Not bad. Debo, I'm not too high on. It really just depends on Trey Lance. That's such a wild card.
Thing about Debo, though, he gets carries out of the backfield, too.
Yeah, he might throw a couple of touchdowns this year, too. Who knows? He might be in a contract. But no, I'm really high on Dalvin. I wanted Dalvin so bad in both of my drafts, and I picked 8 in my last draft, and then this one I had the 12th pick, never got him. But I do see a big year for him. And I do like his bench. I like George Pickens as a flyer. You just hear his name all over the place, just tackling cornerbacks or blocking cornerbacks pretty hard. And I do like Mostert and Singletary as backups to his 2 running backs. I don't think they're starter material yet, but Raheem Mostert, if he can stay healthy, he's a really good back. He can't stay healthy. So fire on those 2. I like the team. I ranked him 4 in the power rankings. It's a solidly drafted team, and I think he can go pretty far.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert will be interesting to see how they split between him and Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, I think they still have Myles Gaskin. I think they have another running back that will get.
They do. They definitely still have Myles Gaskin too. I don't think he's going to get too many touches, but he's definitely going to be in the mix. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that backfield plays out. But yeah, I think Johnny's got just a solid team. It's not great, it's nothing flashy, but it's not bad. It's not a bad team. Could take him as far as he wants to go.
All right. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Rudy's team.
Unanimously voted the worst team in the league by I think almost everybody. This is a big team here.
Yeah, so I'll start kind of talking about his team. I don't know. I never liked the early tight end strategy. As you guys know, I talked shit about Chewie last year about Travis Kelce, but he made me eat my words because he did really well. But going 2 tight ends in his 2nd and 3rd pick is just crazy. But if you think about
tight end thing to a whole new level,
right? If you think about it, me, Lubasi, and Jimmy were kind of talking about it basketball today. If you put Travis Kelce as or let's say either one as your flex, and put them as your wide receiver 1. You kind of have Jalen Waddle as your 2, and then Darnell Mooney as your 2nd or your 3rd wide receiver. If you kind of think about it that way, it's still I still don't like it, but it makes this team look a little bit better in my eyes. But I'm really not high on Waddle or Mooney this year, and his RB2 is just going to be a mess all year.
Yeah, it's definitely a bold strategy. It could pay off. It feels pretty boom or bust. But I think, and I said this earlier to you guys too, I think he's going to need Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce to finish basically tight end 1 and tight end 2 on the season for this move to pay off, which is pretty likely to happen, but nonetheless, like we said, bold strategy. He did get the first pick of the draft, so he's got Jonathan Taylor. That might save him, bail him out on a few matchups too. I really like Jalen Hurts this year. I think he's got a lot of potential as long as he stays healthy. He rushes a lot, so his durability may be a concern, but yeah, overall, just not a super strong team. He's got J.D. McKissick in his RB2, and then kind of how, like you touched on, the wide receivers aren't strong. Decent, but I'm pissed he got James Cook. I really liked that prospect there, so I think that's a good piece on the bench. Kirk Cousins, solid backup QB, I guess, if Jalen Hurts goes down. But yeah, overall, I think just looking compared to most other teams, this team just kind of fell short. But like I said, could be boom or bust with that tight end strategy. You never know how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I feel like with with people voting best team versus worst team, I think really people look at just kind of the starting QB, your starting running backs, wide receivers, tight end, flex defense. And when you see a J.D. McKissick as your RB2, people are going to be like, all right, this team kind of sucks. So I feel like that's kind of why he was unanimous. Again, the tight end strategy is another reason. But Rudy's team could be okay, but I see him struggling a little bit more than he probably thinks. I think he is confident, which is all right. If you're confident in your team, you got your guys. That's really all that matters. So good luck to Rudy, and he's not in my division, so I hope he does okay, I guess.
Yeah, we got him in our division. I think I might play him twice, so I'm hoping that move doesn't play out either way.
All right, so we'll go to our best team last year in regards to points. Chewie, no, I think James actually had the most points. I think Chewie was like 10 or 20 points below, but he had the best record nonetheless. So we will talk about Chewie's team. What do you think about Chewie's team?
I think Chewie drafted a pretty good team as well. Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler. That's I don't always love having a QB and a running back from the same team just because you're kind of rooting for different game flows. I mean, you either want it to be pass heavy or run heavy, but with Austin Eckler, he does get a lot of catches out of the backfield. So not the worst team to use a stack like that on. I really like Javonte Williams. I think DJ Moore is going to have a pretty good year with a better quarterback. Not super high on Deontay Johnson, but I do like Rashad Bateman down there in the flex, and then solid tight end there with Dallas Goedert. So for his week 1 starting lineup, I think this is a pretty solid team. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, he had Deontay and DJ Moore last year, so he has talked to him the past 2 years about their performance. So he's got some inside information, I think. But I'm not really high on Javonte Williams. I don't know. Like he was going – I think he went, second round, pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah, second round, 19th overall. I don't know. He scares me a little bit. If I came away with because
as an RB2?
Yeah, running backs are just going off the board quick. So if I came with him around where Chewie got him, I don't know if I'd be happy or mad. With Melvin Gordon still there, it's tough for him to get that full workload. And I think if you're drafting round 1 and 2 running backs, you're expecting to, get 60 to 70% time in the backfield and then, 20 plus touches a game or 15 to 20 plus touches a game. And Javonte Williams, I mean, let's see. Let's see his last year's stats because I feel like they're going to utilize him and Melvin Gordon about the same as they did last year.
They said in their like preseason stuff that he's pretty much the guy. I don't think it's going to be as even of a split as it was last year.
Yeah, I mean he's going to be he is going to be the guy, but teams say that, and we'll see. I mean
Melvin Gordon's getting old.
Yeah, he's getting older, and yeah, Javonte Williams had some good games. I don't know if Melvin Gordon played these games, but if something happens to Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams could be a top 3 or 5 back. So, yeah, we'll see. Javonte Williams could just run away. I don't love the pick, but I don't hate the pick. It's kind of like
I think that's a pretty good 1-2 punch.
It's a great 1-2 punch. I don't know. Chewie's team just doesn't give that scare factor as you think it should. Well, especially with how he's done the past couple years. I would say it's one of his weaker teams, but that's kind of setting the bar high for him just because of how good he has been the past couple of years. But I do like KJ Hamler in the bench. I was really high on Tim Patrick before he got tore his ACL. I really wanted the slot receiver for Denver. I just didn't know too much about KJ Hamler. I don't even know if he was drafted or if he just picked him up, but
I think he picked
that's a
him
good
up.
flyer. Yeah, it's a good flyer. If he does something, he does something. If he not, just drop him the next week.
Yeah. I think it's a better team than it sounds like you do, but we'll see how it plays out.
All right. Oh, look who's next. The old Town Tones. I'll take it from here, and then Ryan can defend his team. I did pick him 9th in the power rankings, but like I said, the 4 and 9 spots kind of more of a dart throw. Whoever they landed on, I kind of just picked. But Ryan does have probably one of the strongest wide receiver cores in the league. I think Jeff has him beat, but he is definitely two. With Devontae Adams and T. Higgins, and then Chris Godwin got him late just because of that ACL tear. So who knows how he will be his first couple weeks back. But once he gets rolling, he's a everyday wide receiver for you. Then you got Terry McLaurin on the bench, but the wide receivers are a little bit scary. DeAndre Swift, of course, he'll be hopefully a bell cow for you, but you still have Jamal Williams, but he'll get his touches. And then Rashad Penny, Seahawks are going to be Seahawks this year. I'm not too high on that offense. So, I like Irv Smith, too, with how late you got him. I know I took your tight end, Pat, from you, but you kind of went to the strategy of late tight end, and that's usually what I do, too. And you've said this when you drafted Lamar. It's his contract year, so he should ball out. But I was reading a lot about Baltimore, and they're still going to try to limit his rushing ability, so that could be kind of bad for fantasy purposes. But once you get into the game, it's whatever. However you got to get the job done, you get the job
Once
done.
those linebackers are coming around the corner, dude, he's taking the fuck off.
Yeah. All right, yeah, go for it. Defend your team. Let's hear it.
Like you said, I went strong on the wide receivers here. I got DeAndre Swift first pick, which I was hoping to get him. I was hoping to have your pick 12, and I was going to get DeAndre Swift and another wide receiver on the turn, but I end up with Swift and Adams. I think that was pretty okay for me to come out of that. I think Adams does have a little bit of a looming question mark over how he's going to do in the new offense, but I still think he's going to ball out. They'll use him a lot. If Chris Godwin is Chris Godwin this year, then I think I do have one of the stronger receiving cores. I think T. Higgins is going to break out again this year. Rashad Penny is pretty much, he's my RB2 spot is probably going to be my trouble spot all year, but hopefully the pieces I built around can sustain until maybe one of these rookie running backs that I took a flyer on can get up to a starting spot. Or Zeke maybe gets hurt and Tony Pollard can get in there for it.
Yeah, I honestly think Tony Pollard is going to be kind of a cream hunt with how they utilize Chubb. Last year I had Chubb, and usually what the Browns did was one drive they did Chubb, the next drive they did Kareem Hunt, and then the next drive they did Chubb. Like they just did literally back and forth on drives. And Zeke's getting a little older. He's getting a little injury prone a little bit. So if they do that with Tony Pollard, I think Tony Pollard will be a good RB2. And then if he's solid enough, top 25, top 30 consistently, this team is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't love it coming out of the draft, but as I've looked at it more the last couple of days, I'm feeling a lot better about it. So I'm excited to play Johnny week 1. I think I can get him.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Do you have any Monday nights? So you got Penny. I don't know if he's got any Monday nights, but I'm so scary to have Monday nights. I got my kicker.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go with James, who had the best team last year, or a really bad finish. He had the most points in the league. How do you think he drafted this year?
I think James had a pretty good draft. He's definitely, I think, taking a bit of a risky move starting Trey Lance, but he's at least going to be the starter week 1. I know I can't imagine he was too happy. Trey, I don't think he was too happy after they signed Jimmy to more money or restructured his contract or whatever they did. So I don't know what exactly that means moving down the line for the QB in San Fran, but I do think that's a little bit of a risky pick. If Trey Lance pans out, though, he could be, I mean, a high floor, high ceiling guy with the rushing ability. So we'll see how that one plays out. But outside of that, I think he's got a pretty decent team. I don't love the running backs, but they are, I mean, they're guys that are going to get carries and probably get a good amount of yards. So not bad there. I do like the receivers. I think he drafted Jamar Chase pretty early, didn't he? Third pick, yeah. So he must have some faith in Jamar Chase. I do have T. Higgins, so I'm hoping Jamar Chase doesn't have the greatest year, but I'm sure he will. He was looking great last year. Jerry Jeudy, I like him with Russ behind center there. And then Dameon Pierce is going to be an interesting guy too. You kind of don't know what to expect out of him, but he is going to be the RB1 at least for the first week. So, I mean, I think he's got a pretty solid core here and could definitely build on it as the year goes on. But yeah, pretty decent. Not the best, definitely not the worst. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with everything. Jamar Chase was a reach. He knows something, or he wants to know something about Jamar. I personally am not high on Jamar Chase. I think he finishes outside the top 10 wide receivers this year. But that's just really a bold prediction on my end.
Hey, I hope you're right.
Yeah, but yeah, Dameon Pierce is a good flex. I mean, you got a good running back, number one running back, but you got him on the Houston Texans. So, I mean, he's going to get his carries, but, he's not going to be on this high-power offense where they're scoring touchdowns a lot. And I kind of got that with Breece Hall too. So it is kind of a crapshoot with him, but if he balls out, he can definitely be a bell cow running back, and he could be a very good flex option for James. For the bench, I mean, I like Gainwell, and I like Chris Olave. I really wanted him in all of my drafts, but I didn't get him. But I'm about to trade for him in my other league, so I really like him. I think Jameis Winston's going to sling the ball more than ever, and we didn't really talk about, but Rudy had Michael Thomas, and if he can stay healthy, he's got a lot of risk to him, but he could be an okay flex or okay wide receiver coming off the bench. They both can be. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. James' team, I remember last year, popped off the page as probably one of the best teams. I knew that. I said that in my power rankings last year. But this year, I don't think anybody has that team this year. So it's a good, solid team, middle-of-the-road team, and he's just going to have some things go right for him to really get him.
Yeah, and I mean, all this is speculation based off our own opinions. We could be absolutely way off on all this anyway. So it's just not one of those teams you look at and you're like, wow, he's got that. Yeah.
Yeah. So going to Bossy's team, this was my original vote for the best in the league. I think I did change it to Dom after doing my power rankings. But looking at this team, it's a very good team. Najee Harris was another one of the running backs I really wanted. Him and Cook I wanted to come away with in round one. Didn't get him with my 12th pick. And I think Travis Etienne is going to be a good, solid pick for him as your RB2. And I actually really do like his wide receivers too. CeeDee Lamb is basically the only Dallas wide receiver that's pretty good until Michael Gallup comes back, and Cortland Sutton and Russ connection will be a very, very good connection. And I do like Gabe Davis. I had him high on my list, but when I came away with Stephon Diggs, I took him off. So I really do like this team. I don't love Hawkinson, but I think he got him probably after round 6, which pretty good value for him. But he does have some, 7th round. He does have some injury risk. He didn't play the end of last season. Played every game though except the last 5. But looking at his numbers, he did very well the first 2 weeks, but kind of fell off and then got hurt at the end. But he was kind of picking it up with a couple touchdowns there. But I don't know. I like this team. There's name recognition, and there's some high upside guys like Travis Etienne and Gabe Davis. So I do like this team, and I think this is the best team in your guys' division.
Yeah, this was the team that I voted as the best. I just think he's got a solid group here. That Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton stack, as you mentioned, is pretty good. Probably one of the better stacks that we got. I don't think we have too many stacks this year, but that's
there's a lot of QB tight end stacks This is
Yeah.
the only QB wide receiver stack that's starting, at least.
Yeah, well, it's a good one, and like you said, the running back situation here is pretty great. Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. It will be interesting to see how James Robinson cuts into the carries for Etienne. I don't know how they're going to split that backfield, but I know Robinson is questionable, I think, for week 1, so we'll see how that plays out. I did like Gabe Davis this year too. I think he's going to pop off. I think the Bills' offense is just good. Everyone's probably going to pop off, but don't love the Miles Sanders pick. But since he's on the bench, I won't let that affect my feelings towards the team. I had also had Tyler Boyd last year, who sucked cockhole. So yeah, I don't love his bench, but I think his starting group is pretty solid.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sanders is a good bench piece. I think it's his contract year too. So he's going to have to play well this year if he wants money. And I don't know if he's capable of it, but it's a good bet to have. I was looking at Miles Sanders around, I think I wanted him around after Lubasi got him. Yeah, I was looking at him 7, 8. I think, yeah, I probably would have got him maybe the first pick of the 7th round if he was still there, because I don't think I would have got him with the last, because I had so much freaking picks in between my next picks. But not a bad value pick, especially like I said, he's going into a contract year, kind of like Lamar, so he kind of knows that he has to perform, or he's not going to get a lot of money. So
yeah.
We'll go to my team. I'll let you start off with my team, and then I will defend my team. So go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So probably one of the weaker teams that we've seen you draft. And I think you kind of mentioned that yourself coming out of it. But yeah, A-Rod at the helm. He did win MVP last year. A lot of people low on him, though. He doesn't have Devontae Adams this year, obviously. So how's he going to perform with the wide receivers that he has? I think he's probably going to do okay. I do have him in my other fantasy league, so that's just a skosh bias. But I think he's probably going to be all right. He is still Aaron Rodgers, and he's played years without Devontae Adams before and done just fine. So the running backs here, though, never been high on Joe Mixon. I mean, he did have a phenomenal year last year and made me sound dumb because I think we had talked shit about him before the draft last year, but never been super high on him, and I'm still not this year, but he could have another great year. Breece Hall, he's a rookie. We'll see how he plays out. I don't know how he's going to look, but that feels like kind of a boomer bust piece for you. That could really hit or really not. Stephon Diggs will probably be a great one. I did like Juju this year. I think he's going to fit well in that offense. Like you mentioned earlier, you took my late round tight end, Big Patty. And then J.K. Dobbins, I think another question mark. He was out all year last year, and he's got a little competition in that backfield. There's a lot of guys behind him just waiting for their opportunities. So that backfield situation will be interesting too. I do like the Christian Kirk pick for your bench, along with Ramondre Stevenson. I think those are two good guys that you can fill in if you need to throughout the season. But yeah, I mean, kind of like I've said about some others, not the best, definitely not the worst. But yeah, I think one of probably your weaker teams that you've drafted in most recent years.
Yeah, and I usually come away with safer picks. I feel like, and this year I guess I just threw that out the window. The Breece Hall and J.K. Dobbins, I picked them back to back. I wanted to stack running backs as best I could this year, but man, like I said earlier, they were going off the board quick, and I think I kind of panicked when I saw that all those running backs were like Chase Edmonds went before those both those.
Yeah,
like they're just getting running backs. Like, okay, well, I think I kind of panicked. I probably didn't panic Breece Hall. I actually kind of like Breece Hall this year, but like you said, he's a rookie. He's going to be a boomer bust. I didn't mind him, but the J.K. Dobbins, I think I panic bought. But he has high upside. He played 2 years ago, and he was pretty good, but he had a really bad knee injury. So I don't expect him to be starting week 1, so my flex will probably change. But if he can get going maybe in a month or two, month and a half, and I can stay afloat, I think he will be a very good piece if he can stay healthy. And yeah, Mixon, only running back in the first round that was pretty much on the board that I was willing to draft. And then Stephon Diggs. I wanted to come away with 2 RBs in round 1 and 2, but couldn't do that. I don't even know who was the next RB after I picked Mixon, but I didn't like him enough to pass over Diggs. Yeah, it's not a great team. Boom or bust, kind of like you said. I could be in the playoffs or I could be last 4 in the league. I hope it's the first one I said. But yeah, this is like the first draft I came away and said, man, do I like this team? Like, this is not a great team right now on paper. Like, it's just maybe in 2-3 weeks it will be a really good team, and I was wearing it for nothing. But right now it's just a lot of question marks, and hopefully those question marks gets answered really quick with positive answers. So yeah, I don't know how I'm feeling. I'm still kind of thinking about it. I want
start getting some trade boards going.
I want week 1 to come and see workloads for everyone I've drafted and just kind of see how the year is going to go. So we'll go to Dom's team, which is my second pick, which is my now pick for the best team in the league. I think this team has the complete look to it if you are looking solely on starting lineup. Kyler Murray, very good quarterback. Elijah Mitchell, Chase Edmonds. Not the best wide receiver. Oh, I guess he has Derrick Henry as flex, but not the best 2 and flex running back. A lot of people are low on Elijah Mitchell this year. San Francisco or the 49ers always are switching running backs. They haven't had the same running back have the most carries in back-to-back years since like mid 2000, like 2005, 2006. I think I read that somewhere. Maybe it's earlier than that, but I did read that. Chase Edmonds got money from the Dolphins, but there's 3 running backs that are vying for carries, like we said earlier. So if there is a weak point, it is those 2 guys. But Derrick Henry, if he can stay healthy, top 3 back in the league. Mike Evans, very solid wide receiver. I had him last year. Some games are annoying. He doesn't get looked at, but he's a good red zone threat. And then Mike Williams, he popped off last year, and Dom's just betting the same thing will happen this year. And Cole Kmet and Pat Fairmouth were my 2 late tight ends that I really wanted. I think they're going to be very good sleeper tight ends that can sneak in the top 10 this year and even maybe surpass some of the top tight ends. I mean, not the top tight end, but the top tight end, the mid tight end rankings like Hawkinson, Ertz, Goddard, and those guys. So I do like Cole Kmet, but it is a risky pick just because you don't know for sure. He has Zeke on the bench too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think some other people were liking this team a little bit more than me. I don't think it's a bad team by any means, but I'm not super sold on that wide receiver core. I mean, Mike Evans, he'll get his because he's got Tom Brady thrown to him, but he's also got Chris Godwin there, who I hope is going to eat up some targets. But I really don't like Mike Williams that much. I mean, he had like a stretch of 4 or 5 weeks last year where he went crazy, but then he kind of just fell off and then basically he was either doing really well or not that great.
Yeah, 8 through.
So fairly inconsistent. Started off the year 3 weeks in a row was big games, and then the first 4 out of 5 games he was just going nuts. But then a bunch of single digits and a double digit here and there. So I'm not a huge Mike Williams fan. I mean, that offense just has so many pieces in it. And, I mean, he could put on – obviously, he's got the potential to do this, but I just think that it's just pretty inconsistent. So I don't love that. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's still a solid team for sure. He's got good running backs. He's got running back depth. And I don't know. We'll see how those receivers play out. But Dom does have a solid team.
Yeah, that's why I put him over Lubasi. I think the depth is what's going to get people. It's really going to show, after week 4, 5, 6, just with injuries, that's going to happen, and then bye week start week 6. So the depth is very good. Woods and Lockett as your wide receivers on the bench could be are pretty good. Not the best, not the worst, but they do. I like the Rondell Moore pick as well. especially the first 6 weeks if he's healthy, because of course Hopkins is out, like I said. So Dom, I think, kind of takes it over Lubasi, who he plays week 1, just because of depth. Though Lubasi might have a better starting lineup, but I think Dom's depth is going to be the winner there. So we'll go to Jeff's team, which is Ryan's team is awful. And with that name, I'll let Ryan start off and let him go in on this team.
First of all, I guess we'll commend Jeff on his creativity. I mean, what a team name. That probably took a lot of thought and ingenuity. So great job to start that off. But to be fair, I think Jeff drafted a pretty solid team this year. He's coming off last place in his first debut season with the league, coming off just an awful season in which he dropped Justin Herbert week 3. But he did come out this year swinging. He's got a solid team. I think he kind of just took what the draft gave him, but he ended up with a really good team here. Like you said earlier, he's got a really great wide receiver core. Justin Jefferson, who I think is probably going to finish as wide receiver 1 this year if he doesn't get hurt. I think I'm pretty high on the Vikings offense. Michael Pittman's got Matt Ryan throwing to him now. Brandon Cooks had a great year last year with nobody. And so having him in the flex is pretty solid. So I love his wide receivers. Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs were kind of on my do not draft list. I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to do all that great. I think he's kind of fallen off since his rookie season. And then Aaron Jones has A.J. Dillon back there just stealing a lot of his workload. So not super high on his running backs, but I think, I mean, for the other pieces he has around him, I don't think that's going to be a huge problem because they're still going to get at least solid numbers, some solid average numbers. So yeah, I like this team. I think Jeff's going to do well, but we'll see how well. And I think you have him week 1. So what are you thinking on your scouting report here?
Yeah, he's got some tough matchups, Dak and Schultz in Tampa Bay, or at home at first Tampa Bay, which is probably one of the best defenses. So I love that matchup. But he's got good matchups other than that. I think Packers and Minnesota will be a shootout. He's got the defense for Packers, and then Justin Jefferson as his wide receiver. I hate when that happens. But yeah, I said Jeff has the top wide receiver core in the league. He's got Kadarius Toney, which a lot of people are high on. If he can get any production from him, this wide receiver team is scary. Justin Jefferson fell to the 10th pick. Brandon Cooks fell to Jeff, fell pretty deep into the draft, which maybe some people are scared because he was on the Texans. But like you said, he was very good last year with a no-name quarterback, and I think that's the same quarterback this year, Davis Mills. So he'll have another year just under his belt with chemistry. So I was going to draft Cooks if he fell 2 more picks to me, just because, I mean, why not let the draft come to you? And that's kind of what Jeff did in the Justin Jefferson pick and the Brandon Cooks pick, and it worked out. And I'm really high on Michael Pittman as well. So I think we have not that much time, maybe a little more than 5 minutes. So the last 3 guys might seem a little rushed unless we want to try to combine 2 of them. I don't know what Ryan's thinking on that, but we'll see what happens. Ryan, if you can give me like the 1 minute mark, we can see where we're at. So we'll go to Jimmy's team, and I voted him, or I power ranked him as the 10th team in the league. And it's really just a weird team to look at. Like, I've never seen this happen in fantasy football. And I talked to him today in basketball, and he said the draft kind of just fell to him like that. But, I mean, you got 2 guys on Tampa, 2 guys on the Rams, and then you got the Ravens defense and Justin Tucker, which isn't that big of a deal. But it's just weird to see that he's literally going to just be watching like 4 or 5 games each week because all his guys are on the same team. So I don't know how fun that will be, I guess. I like watching different games and different teams. But I guess if the draft, came to him this way, I guess those were his best picks. I really do like St. Brown. I think he's a league winner. And A.J. Dillon went really late in this draft, and I was really mad when Jimmy got him. But I think those 2, like I said, are just league winners and could be very big down the stretch. but it's just such a weird team to look at.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you don't see that very often. I, like you also, I wanted to tag on there. I am a huge AJ Dillon fan this year as well, which is why I'm kind of a little bit lower on Aaron Jones from Jeff's team. But I think that's going to be a great pick for Jimmy, and he can kind of plug him in if he needs to. I think at probably mid-season, I think he's going to be doing pretty well. And yeah, I like the Amon-Ra St. Brown pick. I think the Lions offense is going to look a lot better this year. His wide receivers are pretty good. I mean, we don't know what DK is going to look like now. That offense kind of took a bit of a downgrade. And then Cam Akers, we'll see how he does. He did come back at the end of last season, I think, for the playoff run and looked pretty good after I think he had an Achilles injury last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think this team definitely has some potential. I think having people from the Bucs offense is always a positive. TB12, and I don't know, Leonard Fournette, he had a pretty good year last year, but outside of that, I don't think I'm super high on Leonard Fournette, but I think he'll still put up some numbers. He does get some work catching out of the backfield too. So, I mean, I think Jimmy's got a solid team here. I think you ranked him probably about right. I mean, right in the meat of kind of the rest of the league. So yeah, I think solid draft by Jimmy here. We'll see how that mid tier of teams fights it out.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go to Chris's team, which I ranked 11th. What do you think about this team?
I think this team is also. I think this team is kind of right around the Jimmy mark, but I think Chris's team probably has the most possible potential out of anybody's team. I mean, he's got Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. Like, if you would have said somebody had those two guys like 3 years ago, people would have been shitting themselves. But as we all know, like, those are two of the probably biggest injury risks of fantasy football. So this team, I think, is either going to be really good or not so great. And then I think all the pieces around those guys, all solid guys, mid-tier people. And then he's taking a bit of a risk starting Justin Fields right out the gate. I tried to try this strategy last year. Obviously, he was a rookie then, and now he's got a year under his belt. But I still think it's a risky strategy. But I think Chris has a pretty good team here with a lot of definite potential.
Yeah, and he's got DeAndre Hopkins after 6 weeks. That will be a pretty good, at least wide receiver too. Hopkins kind of fell off a little bit last year. But, yeah, like I said in the power rankings, high upside, low or high risk. I think Chris's team could really look really bad in week 3, like if a lot of things go wrong, and it could go wrong. So it's going to be interesting to see Chris's team. I think we're just going to try to pound this out. How many minutes we got, right?
You got 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
Okay, so I'll just kind of go over Nick's team really quick. He was voted by a couple people as the best team. I don't buy it. I don't like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He just doesn't get utilized in that offense as much as people would think. And then Damian Harris, I don't mind that pick for your flex. I think him and Ramondre are going to be a pretty good 1-2 punch for New England, who's a very run-heavy team. I don't like the A.J. Brown pick. Just don't know what he's going to do in Philly, and can he stay healthy? He did not stay healthy a lot last year, so you never know. I do like the Keenan Allen pick. Alvin Kamara was a good first-round pick. Josh Allen as a second-round pick, though, I just hate that. So I don't know if you have anything to say about this team. If you want to talk about it, then send us away. We will be ready to go.
Yeah, I'll just say I don't know that this is the best team in the league either. I think, like most teams here, he definitely has potential, drafted a solid team. It doesn't stand out a ton right now, but I think that's pretty much where we're all at until we get this week 1 underway.